The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I had the chance of hearing this story multiple times, most recently from different Rosh HaYeshiva in Eretz Yisrael. A number of years ago, many, a daughter of the Steipler Rebbe Barzam turned to her father and she made a comment, Chaim's back is hurting. The Steipler, hearing that Chaim's back is hurting, went down the block of Rechov Rashbam. He went to his son Reb Chaim. He saw, of course, that he was sitting and learning, and he said to his Reb Chaim, the Steipler told his son, Chaim, go into bed. Your parent told you to do something. You're not going to ask the question. So Reb Chaim got up and went into bed. And as I heard this story today, from one of the Rosh Yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael, the Steipler that proceeded to tell him when he was lying in bed, take off the shirt. And the Steipler gave Reb Chaim a type of massage using the different types of oils. He then went back to his home, and the daughter of Ephraim Shapiro asked her father, the Steipler, where he was, and he said, you told me Chaim's back was hurting, so I went down the block and I told him to get into bed and to remain there till tomorrow. She told her father, I didn't mean my brother Reb Chaim. I meant my new son-in-law, Reb Chaim Kluf. His back is hurting. It never even dawned on Reb Chaim that when his father came in and told him, go into bed, take off your shirt, and massage his back with an oil, to question and ask why. His father told him to do it. He didn't. He said, I know my son. He's still going to be lying in the bed. He walked down the block again. He went in. Reb Chaim was on the bed as his father had told him, and the Steipler said, okay, Chaim, now you could get out of bed. Now you could go back to where you were. And that's exactly the way that Maisa happened. But that's what Reb Chaim meant when he said, until this generation wanted and questioned, wanted and wondered, there should be hatred towards a parent. The Steipler told Reb Chaim what to do. He didn't say that, Tati, it wasn't my back. It's our brother-in-law, my brother-in-law, Reb Chaim Kluf. He told him to get into bed, take off his shirt. He gave him a massage. Now he came and told me to get out of bed. Today was the 24th yard site of my father's Atzad. Hagoyin Hatzadik, Rav Avram Mordechai ben Rav Yosef. I share this story with you. It's personal, but it's made all that much more personal because today, Chol Zayin Marchej was his 24th yard site. Oh, what it means to fulfill Kibbut of the Aim. I have a postcard in front of me. There used to be something called postcards. They're very antiquated now. On my father's first visit to the Kaisel, after 1967, when either were able to go for the first time, on that first visit, on his first night in Eretz Yisrael, when one could go to the Kaisel, my father wrote, Dearest Daddy and Mommy. The first night I was here, I simply could not control myself. And so at 1:30 a.m., I took a private taxi from Bnei Brak straight to the Kaisel, which in and of itself is extraordinary. I imagine those years to take a private taxi was an exorbitant sum, and at 1:30 in the morning, I didn't want to wait till the morning. I was there, Daddy and Mommy, from 2:30 a.m. until 4:30 a.m., and I daven for you both. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu hear all of the tefillos. Daddy and Mommy, I am forever indebted to you for having brought me into this world, so that 39 years later, at the Kaisel, I soared way, way up out of this world. I sign with fierce love, deep affection, and heartfelt emotions. That's how far we are from Kibbut Ovein. Years ago, when Reb Shimshon Pincus, Zecher Tzadik V'Kodesh L'Vracha, was coming out with his extraordinary epic and classic, Sharim B'Tfilah, it was a sefer that he spent more than 10 years working on the draft of the sefer. When there was a point that was finally ready to be published, he had a number of Talmidei Chachamim go through it again and again. He devoted such an intense chelik in quantity and quality of his life to his classic, Shiur B'Tfilah. And after more than 10 years of working on the draft, it was finally published. And he told those that were setting up the delivery for the publication of many thousands of svarim, he gave them an address in Yerushalayim, in Matzdorf. They said, but you live in Ofakim, 4 hours south. Are you doing the distribution from there in Yerushalayim? He said, no, I'm distributing it from my home in the south in Ofakim. Then why are we bringing thousands of svarim to Yerushalayim? Listen to what the great Reb Shimshon Pincus explained. He said, because that's where my parents live. I want it delivered to their home. Let them have the nachas of opening the first box and seeing the sefer that in part they helped create. They deserve it. Bring it to them. That's kibbud of ain. And yes, it meant that after it was brought to them, all of those thousands of svarim and the hundreds of boxes had to be reshipped to Ofakim 4 hours south, so he would begin again. But kibbud of ain says, they see the sefer first. The payros, the enjoyment, the nachas. That's the level we wonder if we're holding by comprehending. Our family cousin, the venerated Hakarat in America, or Yaakov Bender, he should live and be well, his father, Reb David Bender, when he was a little boy, or I should say a young boy, in summer camp, they were playing baseball on a Friday, and at one point in the middle of the game, this young teenager, David Bender, stopped the game. He looked up for a moment, he ran to the bunkhouse, and he put on a proper jacket. And a few moments later, his chevra asked him, David, we're in the middle of a baseball game, why are you wearing a jacket? And he said, a few moments ago I looked up and I saw my father, meaning Rabbi Ephraim Bender, David's father, just arrived in camp. And the moment I saw my father, I ran to put on a proper jacket. He wasn't even talking about greeting his father, but he put on the proper jacket because of the awareness that his father has come to camp. I chose to say the stories because I want to remind myself that at least I should know such a musig exists, whether or not I'm on that level. But know that it exists. Know it's what's expected of us. Know that it's one of the Aseres HaDibros, which is why we gather tonight. If you leave here with at least one thing from these words, tell yourself, he's right. That concept, that musig exists.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org